Welcome into this episode of Three's a Crowd. I'm Preston Vargas here for another one. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as we are having a goal to get to 200 subs by September 9th, the start of the NFL season. So hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get into this one. So busy weekend in sports. We'll start with the Orlando Magic defeating the Detroit Pistons 112 to 101 in Detroit. Now, what a game that was. The Magic were the only lower seed to win at game one on the road this postseason. So a big result for the Magic. Of course, you had the past 2 weeks where we lost to Cincinnati or the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers in the first playing game. Come back at home, beat Charlotte in a blowout to go on to face Detroit. And we end up doing it. We beat Detroit, led by Paolo Banchero's 23 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Some other contributors, Franz Wagner, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Wendell Carter stepped up big time, 17 points for him. He was 8 for 9 from the field. Great effort for him. And all the starters, they finally contributed, and we found a way to win. That's the key here in the playoffs: survive and advance. And on the other side, Cade Cunningham had an amazing night as well. 39 points, and Jalen Duren only took 4 shots in that game and went 3 for 4, only 8 points. And that's we were really bullying Jalen Duren in the paint, that's for sure. And that's what really helped us get the win in Detroit. So the next game is on Wednesday. Looks like Detroit's a 9.5 point favorite, which I'm surprised are even larger favorite than they were on Sunday. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, the Magic can do something here, do something there, and get the win in game two. Possibly sweep them in the first round. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think we'll probably get them in 6 games. But this Magic team's starting to get dangerous at the right time. It's showing. And I think Detroit is definitely the better matchup for the Magic. So now let's get into this one. The other game on Sunday, the nightcap, it was Victor Wembanyama making his playoff debut with the Spurs, and he scored 35 points in that one. He had, of course, 35, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Great effort for him. 13 for 21 from the field. He was unguardable from what I saw. I was doing that game, and then the hockey game last night between the Mammoth and the Golden Knights. But Wembanyama doing well, 35, 5 and 1. And then other contributors, Stefan Castle, he had 17 points, but 1 for 5 from from beyond the arc, 4 for 13 from the field. He hit 8 free throws. That's why his points total went up by that much. And then De'Aaron Fox, solid effort, 7 for 15, 17 points. Pretty good effort for him. The bench, Luke Cornett played well in relief for Wemby at times. He had 10 points, so San Antonio center scoring total of 45 points. And that's where they can get you in the paint. That's why they're a very dangerous team in the Western Conference. In fact, I didn't have them advancing to the NBA Finals. In fact, I think I had them losing to the Denver Nuggets in the semifinals in the next round. So we'll see how San Antonio plays. Of course, looking at the Portland Trail Blazers, let's take a look at Denny Advia. He had a double-double in his playoff debut, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Of course, they beat Phoenix in the play-in in the 7-8 game to advance to this point. So we'll see. Portland is definitely they were definitely a surprise this year, especially having an interim coach in Thiago Splitter. I I think he might have won the job this season, taking over after Chauncey Billups. Let's not forget at the beginning of the season he was arrested for uh, an illegal gambling ring. Of course, so that string of arrests with I think Jonte Porter got rearrested, and that whole thing with Terry Rozier. I mean, let's not forget it was turbulent at the beginning of the season for the NBA, but a great story for the Portland Trailblazers to get to this point. You know, the other playoff results The Celtics and Thunder, both favorites to win their respective conferences, both showed why they are their favorites. Celtics beat the Sixers 123-91, and the Thunder beat the Suns 119 to 84. So other notable results: the Lakers, led by LeBron James, no Doncic, no Reeves, no problem, as LeBron James led them to the win, 20, with 19 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. You also have DeAndre or Luke Kennard, who showed off well with a perfect 5 for 5 from beyond the arc, 9 for 13 for the field, 27 points for Luke Kennard. And that's why the Lakers got the win. Talking about some guys for the Houston Rockets, we have um, a lot of guys really contributing in their own way. Nobody really got to 20 points, but you had five guys get to at least in the double figures, and Şengün was leading scorer, 9 rebounds, 9 points, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists for him. And Donovan Mitchell gets his, I think he has eight. I don't want to get the number wrong, but I think he's got. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he has five straight game one 30-point games. That's insane. I mean, Donovan Mitchell playing well, showing. Hopefully, could be the chance he needs to get to the conference finals. We'll see. And Nikola Jokic, I think he had a triple double on Saturday afternoon when they played the Minnesota Timberwolves. He got 25, 13, and 11. Lead them past the Timberwolves, of course. They've knocked out by the Timberwolves the past two postseasons since they won their championship back in 2023. And the Knicks getting past the Hawks 113-102. Um, Looking at the box score there, Karl Anthony Towns 25 points, Jalen Brunson 28 points, really helping the Knicks out there. And now let's go over to some NHL playoffs. So we'll start on Saturday, where the very first playoff game between the Senators and the Hurricanes, 3 seconds in, there was already a fight that broke out. But the Hurricanes ended up prevailing 2-0 in that one. And Minnesota upsets Dallas 6-1. In the Central Division playoffs, you had two goals scored for Matt Boldy and two for Eriksson Ek to get the Wild past the Stars, and the Flyers taking game one on the road in the Battle of Pennsylvania. You had Martone scoring his first career goal, and then the rest of the goals scored by defenseman Drysdale and Sanheim. For Pittsburgh, you had the goal scorers Malkin. He scored the game tying goal, or yeah, he scored the first goal for Pittsburgh, and then Russ scored the second goal, but they were already down 3-1 at that point, so it didn't really matter. And Sunday's action, you have the favorites for the Stanley Cup, the Colorado Avalanche, President's Trophy winners, playing well. We had Wedgwood sharp in the net, and Logan O'Connor scores first goal of in a year, and Lahokin got a goal in as well as the Avalanche got past the Kings 2-1. Our first overtime of the NHL playoffs, we had Montreal upsetting Tampa Bay 4-3 in OT, and the overtime there was a hat trick for Yaroslav Slavkovsky, the number one overall pick. I think it was in 22, if I'm not mistaken, where he was picked number one overall by the Canadians. So he's showing why he was number one pick. Jake Gensel had 3 assists for Tampa Bay, assist on all three goals for them. And Slavkovsky scored the game winner in overtime, just a minute 22 in. And then the Buffalo Sabres hosting their first playoff game in 15 years. I watched part of that game while the Magic game was at halftime. It was electric at KeyBank Center. The Sabres down 2-0 through most of the game, and they scored all their goals in the last 8 minutes of action. Scored four unanswered goals with Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson scored twice, in fact. To He tied it up with less than because hockey has a weird thing where they count up, but with about 4 minutes to go, Tage Thompson scored, and then Matthias Samuelson got the go-ahead goal, plus the empty netter for Alex Tuck sealed it for them. But Boston got a late goal with 8 seconds to go on the power play for David Pastrnak, but it was all a consolation there. So 4-1 win for Buffalo, and then the nightcap, Utah Mammoth, their first playoff game as a franchise. Of course, their second season after relocating from Arizona, and Logan Cooley scored the first playoff goal in Utah playoff history to give them a 1-0 lead. Second period, they each team split a goal. Utah took a 2-1 lead to the third, and then Vegas scored 3 goals in the third to take the win away from Utah. So that was that. There's still one more game one, and that series begins tonight with the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Edmonton Oilers. That game's at 10 o'clock. Where game two tonight will be Ottawa, Carolina at 7:30. That's the game we will be doing tonight. And Battle of Pennsylvania, Philly, Pittsburgh at 7, Minnesota, Dallas at 9:30. So tune into all those tonight. And now we will get into one of the more jarring stories in baseball at the moment. The New York Mets. They need the Miracle Mets to come back, that's for sure. They have lost 11 straight games after getting swept by the Chicago Cubs. So they are now 8 games out of first place in the National League East. And they got swept by the Cubs, swept by the Dodgers. Hard schedules, in fact. But you got swept by the A's at home the previous weekend. And then you lost 2 out of 3 at home to the Diamondbacks. It's not looking good. The noise is gonna get louder. You have the Minnesota Twins, who are at 500, surprisingly. Not a lot of people would have expected that. A lot of people think the Twins are a rebuilding team, but the Mets are reeling. According to ESPN, they have a 68% chance at winning. And in terms of the betting odds, let me get a look at that. Okay, we don't see that easily, which I'm surprised. But so the Twins are on a 4-game losing streak of their own. So this is a chance here. Is you have the Minnesota Twins coming into town for a 3-game set. This is where the Mets have to get going here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Juan Soto's coming back, I think, this week, maybe, or by this weekend. He might be activated off the 10-day IL, but we don't know yet about that. So the Mets, their series starts on Thursday in a 3-game set. We'll see what happens there. And then let's get a quick recap of the UFL Week 4. It was a good weekend after some controversy in Week 3 with a coach getting arrested and a weird ending to have people talking. But the week started on Thursday with the Louisville Kings going on the road to beat the Houston Gamblers for their first win in franchise history. So they're 1-3 now, and there was some news about the Louisville Kings yesterday. They made a trade. They traded their starting quarterback Jason Bean to the DC Defenders, and I think they got a defensive end back, and we'll see. Or I think they traded quarterbacks, so they got DC's backup quarterback. I forgot his name, but it's interesting. Louisville trades their starting quarterback after getting their first win in franchise history. That seems a little bit odd to me, but I think there was a sequence where Bean was asking this coach why they weren't running the ball after doing 17 passing plays in a row. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it. And also news for the Kings, they released running back Benny Snell, which he was definitely not having the best season, but I would say this team has something that they need to they got to do something here. Of course, Jason Bean was their leading rusher with 20 yards on the ground, and they didn't have a touchdown pass, which is interesting. So rushing, Benny Snell on 8 attempts, 6 yards. That's probably what happened and why he got. That's why he got released because you cannot have that. You cannot have zero point 0.8 yards per carry. That is just inexcusable. if you're Benny Snell. Then other results, another team got their first win in franchise history, the Columbus Aviators beating the Dallas Renegades at home 28 to 14. And of course, Dallas was previously undefeated, one of two undefeated teams coming into the week. We'll get into that later. Austin Reed had 144 yards passing, two touchdowns. McClendon, 126 yards, one touchdown pass. And the Renegade or the Aviators got the win. Then the rivalry renewed in DC. The Defenders only lost of the season coming on the road in the opener to St. Louis. They now won three straight games. They won 28 to 20, 28-22. Jordan Tamu had 204 yards, two touchdowns, and Harrison Frost making his first start for the Battlehawks. After taking over for Brandon Silver, he had 144 yards, one touchdown. Butler had a touchdown reception, and DC wins 28-0. And the Orlando Storm, my Orlando Storm, getting the last, become the last team to remain undefeated, led by Jack Plummer, 182 yards, one touchdown pass. Elijah Badger had three receptions, 63 yards. Corbin had 58 yards on the ground. So, and the Orlando Storm get their defense is really the one that uh, is the most glaring. Let me get a look at the box score for the defense. So, defense only allowed 166 total yards for Birmingham, and we're gonna look at the rushing defense because it was our so, wait 36 rushing yards allowed for the Orlando defense, really stifling them. And Matt Corral got benched and replaced by Michael Hires in the game around the third quarter or so. But it wasn't enough, even though Hires had a better completion percentage, it still wasn't enough. And there was news yesterday of a trade between these two teams. So Orlando trades Dorian Thompson Robinson to Birmingham, and we get Matt Corral in exchange and a defensive end. So we'll see how Matt Corral does as the backup quarterback. I really don't expect him to see the field with Jack Plummer balling out the way he has on the ground and through the air. And let's talk about Jack Plummer's rushing yards. He had, if I can pull it up here, 41 yards on the ground, including a 34-yard run to get him into field goal range. And the Storm get the first shutout win in UFL regular season history. There's one shutout before he was in the championship game. Ironically, it was the Birmingham Stallions who shut out the San Antonio Brahmas in the 2024 championship game, I believe. But yeah, so that's a recap of the UFL this week. Week 5 starts on Friday with the DC Defenders taking on the Stallions, and we will be at the St. Louis Battlehawks Orlando Storm game. Storm back home for the first time in a few weeks. So make sure to tune into those games. So that's that, and we'll get into our other headlines here. So bit of trade news over the weekend. The big deal is Cincinnati trading a first round pick to get Dexter Lawrence. The Giants now have the 5th and 10th overall picks in Thursday's draft. I'll talk a little more about that coming up. And then more NFL news, AJ Brown is going to be traded to the Patriots after June 1st, according to Adam Schefter. So I think there's something post June 1st with money compensation. We'll see about that and whether that will go into that. And then 49ers will extend Trent Williams, their left tackle, to a 2-year, $50 million deal. I mean, how old is he at this point? He's got to be in his late 30s. He's 37 years old, so he'll be there till at least 39. Really, one of the more durable players in the NFL at this point. He could play, so he's going to play another 2 years, I assume. But he's still serviceable at his age. And then WWE WrestleMania. Roman Reigns beats CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship yesterday. And in golf, Matt Fitzpatrick held off Scotty Scheffler in a playoff at the RBC Heritage a week after the Masters. So a lot of good action there. And now let's get into what we're watching for this week. And because of the busy week, we didn't have time to add this into the show. The NFL draft I'm watching for on Thursday. So we all know Fernando Mendoza will be the number one pick in the draft. Let's see who else is. I think Arvell Reese might be the number two pick. We'll see where Ty Simpson goes. But looking at the best available now, looks like Arvell Reese is the number one overall player in the draft according to ESPN. So you have him, David Bailey, Francis Malgoa, Jeremiah Love. Where will he go, and how will he make a? What kind of impact will he have? Sonny Styles. Heard rumors the Cowboys may trade up for him, but we'll see what happens. As that will do it for today's episode. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We will be back for another Rankum edition on Friday, where Eli and I will rank our 10 best sports we like to watch, and we'll separate them by college football and pro football, college basketball, or yeah, college basketball, NBA. So we will do that. Tune into that. In the meantime, tune into some playoff action tonight. We will have the Ottawa Senators, Carolina Hurricanes at 7:30 tonight. Following that will be NBA playoff action between the Timberwolves and Nuggets. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day. We'll see you again next time.